Hi. Thanks for joining us for the tutorial 14 of SmartMaker Advanced Function. In the previous tutorial, we have covered basic database concepts and its role in app programs creation and operation. As we've examined, during an app program's operation, numerous input-output data is processed and managed from multiple database tables. And in SmartMaker Authoring Solution, you can easily manage properties related to database such as table name, field name, data type, and maximum digits directly from atoms. In other words, just like controlling atoms' look and behavior with style properties, you can also configure atoms' database properties directly from data properties. Now, let's dive into atoms' data properties starting with Data Input Tools Atoms. As you can see, I have added data input atoms in the center of the prepared form. In this tutorial, we will mainly examine data properties of data input atom. Although there are many different types of data input atoms, configuring data properties is much the same. Therefore, you can use the configuration method you learned from this tutorial to all other atoms. Right-click on the atom and select Data Properties, which consist of DB information, Search option and Save option. First, DB information configures the data to be processed for the atom. And DB table name specifies the name of the table where data processed by the atom is to be stored. In SmartMaker, you can use AI technology to automatically assign a table name with F5 shortcut instantly. Or, to specify the table name manually, you can type the table name or select existing DB table from the list by pressing the arrow button on the right to open a list of database table in the connected server. Field name property sets the field in the table in which data processed in the atom will be stored. Since we haven't made any configuration, the table and field names are empty. Let's press F5 so AI Engine can automatically set data properties items by analyzing the components on the screen. If you check data properties again, you can see that the title data properties A is extracted and set as the table name and the item name dbinfo1 foot on the left is extracted and set as the field name. To change the table or the field name manually, or to configure more than one table in a single program screen, you can enter the names manually. And when the data properties has been configured, press F10 to create the database table. If you click the Details button, you can see the ERD, which is the schematic diagram of the database. You can also see the field name automatically assigned earlier, as well as the manually changed field name. After confirming the table and field information, press Apply button at the bottom to create the table in the database. Next, data type is a property that specifies the data type of the atom. Generally, default data type is designated based on the atom type, but you can manually configure the atom's data type to datatime, integer, float, double, image and more. Let's change it to an integer type. Now, you can confirm that the input type is automatically changed by reflecting the integer data type in which a number is entered from right to left. Next, max digit is a property that specifies, in bytes, the maximum length of data to be entered as the value of the atom. For reference, one alphabetical character and a number is regarded as 1 byte. Thus, max digit should be set in consideration of the expected length of the input data. You can also configure max digit by resizing the atom on the form. Now that you have set the data type and max digit for the data input atom, let's press F10 to check the revise the database information. As you can see on the screen, you can see that the data type of the atom is an integer and that the maximum digit have been changed. After confirming the properties, press Apply button at the bottom. And the modified table will be applied to the database. Let's continue with search options of data properties. First, primary key is a property for designating the atom as a primary key, which will be used for saving the atom's value in a table or retrieving data already stored. The primary key is the most important field for storing and retrieving a single record consisting of several fields, that is, a row. It is recommended that at least one atom be set as the primary key for each screen. Typically, in this authoring solution, when you auto-create a table using shortcut keys, the atom in the first data input tool group is automatically assigned as the primary key. But you can easily change the primary key to another atom. Also, you will notice that disabling the primary key properties disables the auto search and auto increment properties. If you set primary key properties again, the auto search property is activated again. This property retrieves the value from the last data entered from the table during the program operation. This property applies only when the primary key property is specified. And when auto search is selected, you can see auto increment is now activated as well. Auto increment property is used to automatically increase the value by adding 1 to the last data value entered so the new item can be entered with unique serial number. So let's go to run mode and see these properties implemented. As soon as you switch to run mode, the serial number that corresponds to the search option will be automatically numbered as 1. And when you input data randomly in the rest of the input fields and press the Save button, you can see that the value is automatically increased to 2. Finally, let's take a look at input required, validate, combined, and don't save properties from Save options. Input required property, if selected, prompts users to enter data in the input field when no data is entered. When a user tries to leave the field empty and move to another field or screen, a pop-up message will be displayed and the cursor will be moved to the empty field. Now, let's set this property and switch to run mode. Primary key, which is sequentially increased from the previous serial value, can be seen. If you press Save button, after entering the data only in the second field, a message will appear prompting the data input for the empty atom. And when you press OK button, you can see that the focus is moved to the empty field so that you can enter data. You can use this property by specifying it for the input atom for essential data is required. Validate property is specific to atoms joined in a scroll. Using validate property, you can check if the data input atom joined in a scroll contains data or not, meaning validate, so the empty row wouldn't be stored in the database. Combined option is used to save the data from several data input fields into one field and to separate the combined information only in the program. To save data from different input atoms into a single field within DB table, you can configure the same field name for the input atoms and select Combined and Save option. While the atoms will be displayed separately on the screen, within the DB table they will be saved in the same field. This property is used to apply batch storage and management of complex and irregular data such as Word document. Finally, don't save is a property that displays the value of the atom on the screen but does not save it to a table. If you specify this property for the atom, you can see the data value entered on the program module screen, but the data is not stored in the actual table. We have examined the data properties of the data input tools atoms, designed and created tables in the database, and tested the properties using examples. As mentioned earlier, the main function of the data input atoms is to input and output data. Now, we will see how the data stored in the database is retrieved and displayed on the screen. Data properties can configure data output as well as the input. Next, we will explore the data properties of data search tools atoms. In terms of functionality, the data properties for data input atoms focus on creating tables in a database to store data entered by users. On the other hand, the data properties for data search atoms are for specifying existing tables and fields so that users can search the data stored in the database. Now, let's check out the properties from the real examples. Since data properties of data search atoms are similar to each other, in this tutorial, we will use search table atom as an example. Data properties of the data search tools is broadly divided into DB information and display format. Now, if you look at DB information, you will notice that the configuration is similar to that of data properties of data input atoms. However, while data input atoms data properties configure database for storing, data search atoms data properties configure database for searching. Table name is a property that specifies the name of the table from which to retrieve data for processing in the Atom. Click the arrow on the right to open the combo box and you will see a list of all the tables in the database of the currently connected server. You can select the table you want to search. Next, the field name is a property that specifies the field name of the table where the data to be retrieved is actually stored. Click the arrow on the right to open the combo box and you will see a list of all the fields that make up the specified table. From these, you can specify which fields you want to display on the search table. The data type information of the selected field is retrieved and displayed in the data type field. It also retrieves and displays the specified maximum digit information. If you click the Add button at the bottom after specifying a table and a field, you can see that the registration number field is assigned as an item in search table. Let's go back to Data Properties menu and examine some of the properties that let you set the various display formats for search table Atom. First, as you can see, the field name is automatically entered as the item title. You can edit its name directly from the field. After changing the item title, press Edit button on the left to apply the change. Then you can see the item title has been changed from the registration number to the number. Atom variable is the property used to distinguish each item within data search atoms. And by default, the field name for the atom is automatically assigned as its variable. As we will discuss later, it can also be used to implement join search function, to pass item value to full form or report, and to control items formula or processing functions using process manager or working logic. As such, atom variables are used for intuitive and easy control for implementing complex functionalities for items. Next, before we get to item display options, let's add new fields to search. Item display specifies the display format for the data retrieved. Using item display property, the search data can be set to display in decimal place, check value, date format, and user-defined format. Now let's change the item display to date format. When you select a date format, you can specify it further from the list provided. If you switch to run mode and check it, you will see that the date item has been changed to the specified item display format. Now let's new fields and test align properties. Align is a property that specifies the alignment of the item, which can be aligned left, right, or center when the search data is displayed on the screen. Since we have selected price as the field, let's set align to the right and add it as a new item. And if you select run mode, you can see that the data for all of these items is displayed in the right alignment. By default, align is set to the left justification when the data type is the character type, and the right value is specified as the right justification when the number data is specified. When you return to the edit mode and look at data properties, you can see reference key property is provided in the form of a checkbox. Reference key is a property that is set when a data search tool atoms are used to pass value of the retrieved data to a specific atom on another screen. In order to show the function of the properties, we first prepared a full form button using the event button atom of the event setup tools. The function of this button is to connect the screen to show the full information of the selected item in the search table. If the item whose value to be passed is set as reference key, and it matches the reference atom name in the connected form, then the reference key information retrieved from search table is automatically transferred to the full form and processed. Generally, the field designated as the primary key of the table is set as the reference key. If you select a restaurant to see the information and click Full Info button, the My Favorites screen will open in a new window, and you can see the information of the selected restaurant. Registration number is the reference point connecting the two screens. Finally, Hide Duplicates data property is a property only displays the first row and skips the remaining data if duplicate data exists in the item among the search data. Using search table atom as an example, we have explored the data properties of data search atoms. In this authoring solution, most of the data processing is automatically implemented by the AI engine by default. However, You may want to develop these properties manually to implement more sophisticated features or special handling. Next time, we will learn about implementing event functions to the program. Thanks for watching.